here's our function, y is equal to negative 3x squared plus 12. Tell us about the turning point. How much is the turning point?
Okay, ma'am. So the turning point, ma'am said in grade 10, the turning point is always gonna be our y. So our turning point is gonna be 0 and 12.
Excellent. Beautiful stuff. All right. And what about our x-intercepts?
Ma'am, so our x-intercept, our y must equal to 0. So then, like, we're just gonna write the equation down, or like, yeah, not the equation, but yeah. And then we make our y, our x 0, and then our y is gonna be equal to 12, and then like the coordinate is most not gonna be 0, 12.
Okay. Yeah. So okay. Remember, we're doing the x-intercept, so we're making y 0. So we're calculating for x. We're solving for x. So we'll have negative 3x squared plus 12 is equal to what? 2?
0.
Good.
You're solving the y. But
yeah, no. I know. We're solving for the x-intercept, not the y-intercept. All right, what comes next?
We're gonna say, we're gonna take out as common factor, and then like it's
good,
negative
which
3.
Is
negative 3. And then now in our bracket we're gonna have x squared plus 4 minus 4, sorry,
not
because
plus,
we want to make it a positive.
4. There we go. Good.
And then is equal to 0. Then we're gonna now divide our negative 3 on both sides. So we're gonna cancel out the negative 3. Then we're gonna say dots now. Then we're gonna say x plus 4. I mean x plus 2, x minus 2 is equal to 0.
Good.
And then therefore we're gonna have our x is equal to negative 2 or x is equal to positive 2.
Beautiful. You're not done. Give me my coordinates.
Our coordinates will be negative 2 and 0, and the other one will be positive 2 and 0.
Beautiful. Oh my God. Just music to my ears. Okay, what about my domain?
Ma'am, so I heard ma'am say that the domain is like, it's always going to be x element of real numbers, I think. Yeah.
Beautiful. Sure. Okay, and what about our range?
Ma'am, I think, the range is not make-sure-it one. Range,
okay.
I think it's like element, y is an element of, I don't know. I think it's an element of
it's
something.
an element of real numbers again. Excellent. It's an element of real numbers again. But remember, my graph is a frowny face. It's a sad face, yes?
Yes. So it's like,
a sad
isn't
face
it going to
graph,
be?
and the turning point is at 12. So
then y is an element. Y isn't the element. Y is less than or equal to 12.
Look at you, you whole rock star, you. 100%. That's Tiana, you make my whole heart just full. I love it. Welcome to Watobe, everybody. Like, this is how we do things. Catch up to us. But we're doing the hyperbola today. We had already started it in the lesson before. And today we're going to be looking at how to actually draw the graphs and how to find certain intercepts as well. Okay, now we've got the graph here of f of x is equal to 1 over x. And we said in the last lesson that if we're going to draw a graph that is positive, like this one over here, guys, remember there's an invisible plus sign over here. Now, if our graph is positive, we're going to draw it in quadrants 1 and 3. Now, I'm just going to remind you guys of the quadrants. This one over here is quadrant 1. I'm just going to move this asymptote and quadrants away. We don't need it today. This is quadrant 2. Remember, our Cartesian plane is broken up into 3. This is quadrant 3, and this is quadrant 4. Now, we said that if our graph is positive, it will be drawn in quadrants 1 and 3. And then we spoke about asymptotes. And we said, in this particular graph, we know that if x is going to be equal to 0, we're going to have a problem. So our first asymptote is that x cannot be equal to 0, right? Our other asymptote is also y cannot be equal to 0. Let's explore why we can't make y equal to 0. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to get 0 is equal to 1 over x. Okay. All right. So if I now have to solve for x, guys, I'm going to have to cross multiply. Okay, remember this is 0 over 1. So I'm going to end up with 0 times x is equal to 1. 0 times x is 0 is equal to 1. This is a false statement. This is a false statement because 0 cannot be equal to 1. So that is why, that's exactly why y can also not be equal to 0. So for this particular graph that we're about to draw, x cannot be equal to 0 and y cannot be equal to 0. So my two asymptotes are on the y-axis and on the x-axis. So this is my x asymptote on this line over here, and my y asymptote is over there. Now, because our graph is positive, we're going to draw our graph in quadrant 1, and we're going to draw our graph in quadrant 3, that quadrant over there. All right. And this is as far as we got in the last lesson. All right. Now we're going to step it up a notch, and we're going to be looking at a couple of things that we need to be able to do when we're looking at these particular graphs. All right. Let's look at this, the following one over here. It says, sketch the graph of f of x is equal to 1 over x plus 2. Now, I'm going to ask you guys, is this graph positive or negative? The graph of f of x, is it positive or is it negative? Namani, it's equal. Namani, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? Good, it's positive. So I'm going to then ask you guys, which quadrants will we then find this graph? If it's positive, which two quadrants will this fall under? Where are we going to draw our graph? Good, Imelda. That's it, part 2. Excellent, Courtney. It's going to be in quadrants 1 and 3. Right, in quadrants 1 and 3. Now, if we have to look at our asymptotes, guys, our asymptotes, this is how we're going to look at our asymptotes. Our first asymptote is always going to be this problematic thing over here. X cannot be equal to 0. So remember, x is 0 along the y-axis. So our first asymptote is over here. Aibo and Alusha busy here threatening teachers in the chat. Kanti, what's going on now? What's going on? Right. This is our asymptote. Right. Our second asymptote, guys, our y asymptote is then going to be this one. That one. So we're going to say that our asymptote for y is that y cannot be equal to 2, positive 2. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the point 2 there, and we're going to draw our asymptote like that. Now, we're going to pretend that this asymptote we've just drawn is our new Cartesian plane. So my quadrants 1 and 3 will be here. This is positive and positive. So I'm going to draw my graph like that. There and here. Okay, that's where we're going to draw this graph, right there and there. Okay, now we're going to note one thing, guys. We're going to note that my bottom graph, my graph over here in quadrant 3, cuts my x-axis over here. Now, tell me, guys, I don't know what my x value is, but what is my y0, my y coordinate at that point? What is my y coordinate at that point? Namani, I feel like I gave you guys the answer. It's not fair. It's not fair. Good, yes. My x value, we don't know, but my y value is 0. So we know that this is an x-intercept. Okay, what do we know about the x-intercept, guys? When we want to find the x-intercept, what do we need to do? We need to make y equal to 0. Excellent. Y is equal to 0. So we're going to take our function over here. F of x is equal to 1 over x plus 2, and we're going to make y equal to 0. So I'm going to have 0 is equal to 1 over x plus 2. I need a volunteer. Who can then solve for x for me? Anybody? Somebody? Solve for x for me. You can put your hand up and let me know. Tiana, what's our first step? What are we going to do?
Yo, ma'am, so ne, I'm not 100%, but I'm gonna try because today's a nice day. Anyway, ma'am,
Yes.
so I think we must put the 2 over like the 2 over, then we make it a negative
Absolutely.
2.
Good.
A negative 2 is
2.
equal to 1 over x. Then we must now
Next step.
cross multiply. I think
Excellent.
cross multiply. And then we like gonna have negative 2x and 1. And then our x is going to be now going to divide the negative 2 on both sides. Then our x will therefore be is equal to 1 over negative 2.
Good. Or just negative a half, yes?
Yeah.
Excellent. That was very nicely done. That was very nicely done. Very, very well done. Negative a half and 0. That is our x-intercept. Courtney's saying why is y equal to 0? Because this is an x-intercept, Courtney. What do we know about x-intercepts? X-intercept what? Okay. You can finish that sentence for me. That's it. Y is equal to 0. And that's why we made y 0. Okay? Give me a thumbs up if you guys understand everything that just happened. Everybody okay with everything that just went down? Give me a thumbs up if you're with me. Excellent. Very, very nicely done, guys. Awesome. All right, let's look at this next one. Right. I want another volunteer. This person is going to tell us everything that needs to happen in terms of this next graph. And they must explain to me everything that needs to go down. Any volunteers? Let's look at the graph of g of x, guys. Any takers? Come on. Somebody? Anybody? Jasmine, yeah, love it. Love to see it. Hi, Jasmine. How are we doing?
We're okay today.
I'm glad to hear it. Yes.
It would be a negative graph, 1.
Good.
2, it would be in quadrant 2 and 4.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
That's all of what I can understand today about.
Okay, then what about our asymptote?
Good with the hyperbola graph.
That's okay, my sweetie. Okay, let's think about this. Okay, our asymptote is always going to be where x gives us a problem. So what value can x not be? X cannot be
0.
Good. So that's our first asymptote. X is not equal to 0, which means it's this line over here. This one. Okay, good. Remember our y asymptote, y cannot be equal to this value over here. So what can y not be equal to?
Y cannot be equal to negative 1.
Beautiful, negative 1. So we've already drawn in our x asymptote. So we need to go to our y-axis and draw in the value of negative 1. Okay, are we happy?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So we're going to draw it this way. Cool. You said that my graphs must be in which quadrants?
I think it means.
Quadrant, which 2 quadrants?
2 and 4.
Good, this one and that one. Good. So if we draw it, Jasmine, do you see how if I draw this over here, that's one of them, and the other one is over here.
Yes.
What do we call this point over here?
Which point?
This one.
I forgot.
It's the x what? The x
Intercept.
the x intercept. Yes, it's the x-intercept. And what do we know about the x-intercept? What happens at the x-intercept?
Y is equal to 0.
Excellent. Y is equal to 0. So we're going to go to our function, Jasmine, and we're going to replace g of x with what? What are we going to replace g of x with?
0.
Good. Excellent. Tell me what my formula is going to sound like. What am I going to write down? 0.
Wherever the x is, replace it with 0.
Okay, not the x, remember the g of x. So we're going to have 0 is equal to?
0 is equal to negative 2 over x minus 1.
Good. All right. Now I have to solve for x. What's my next step?
To take the minus 1 over. And
good. And it becomes?
A positive 1 is equal to negative 2 over x.
Good. My next step?
To cross multiply.
Excellent. Beautiful. We're going to cross multiply. Yeah. So I'm going to end up with 1x, which is just x is equal to?
Negative 2.
Beautiful. Do you see, Jasmine, you've just given me my x-intercept. This point over here is then negative 2. And what was my y value again?
0.
A whole Avenger. Beautiful. That's it. Excellent stuff. Well done. You did it. You're like, I'm not good at this stuff, but look at this. Look at what you just did. You cooked. We were cooking here, my girl. Beautiful stuff.
Thank you.
Very nicely done. Very nicely done. Okay. Hope is saying y negative 2. If I cross multiply, Hope, I'm going to get 1x is equal to negative 2 over 1 or times 1, right? That's the same. 1x is the same as x. Therefore, x is equal to negative 2. Okay, does that make sense, Hope? I hope it does. Just let me know in the chat before we continue. Okay. All right, I'm going to give everybody 3 minutes, not even. Let me give you 2 minutes to go and do h of x for me. Go do h of x for me. Remember the quadrants, the asymptotes, and the x-intercept. You need to do all of that. And when you're done, pop your favorite emoji in the chat. Mirula's already done. I knew this would happen. No worries. No worries. Sorry, Hope. I think I was blocking the minus. Let me do that. There it is. Asbong is already done also. Hi, Kaizing. Okay, we'll give everybody else a chance to catch up. Okay. Yes, Tiana.
Ma'am, so ma'am,
Yes.
we only started with that stuff today in class, ma'am. Now are they even gonna ask us to make the table method and stuff? Cause that isn't really nice.
Yeah, I think they might, but you know what? I think you guys are old enough to not have to do table methods. Okay, because I'm just like, come on now, we're grown, ma'am. Why do we still need tables? You know what I mean?
So we won't have to but
So,
is there a possibility that they won't make us do that? where there's hyperbole stuff?
Not for the hyperbole, and because when we're drawing it, there isn't really a perfect science to it. That's why I just draw my graphs freehand. Okay. Because there isn't really it's not like a parabola where we know that we're going to have a turning point and therefore we can use certain points. Okay, on a hyperbola, we have something called a salient point, which is it's almost like the point where the thing turns somewhere, but it's not that deep. So I don't think they'll make you do it for the hyperbola. Maybe just for you to see the trend, like how it's written or how it's drawn. But nah, I don't think they'll make you guys do the table method. I doubt it.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
All right, my sweetie. Okay, Jasmine, do we have a question, my love?
Yes, it's a question. So the graphs are just drawn to represent something. It's not drawn to scale.
Yes. So in this case, you don't have to draw them to scale. You just have to make sure they curve, and you absolutely have to make sure they don't touch your asymptotes. So other than that, I don't think they'll ask too much of you. Okay. As long as it looks like a hyperbole graph. Hyperbola, not hyperbole. Okay.
Because certain graphs cannot be drawn to scale because the numbers are too high for the thing. For the
well, yes and no. No, in that we're just being lazy. Yes, in that we can see what kind of graph it is if you even draw it freehand. And as long as the formula is there, it makes sense. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Excellent, Prasvini. Awesome stuff. All right. Namisile, where are you? Namisile, put your hand up because I know you want to do this question for me. So, there we are. Hello. Let me just clean up my very, very messy Cartesian plane, and then you and I will have a conversation. All right. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I just want to try
You're
this so
supposed
I
to say
can
born,
see if I
I'm born
understand.
ready, ma'am. Okay.
Okay.
You're supposed to be like, I'm born ready, ma'am.
Okay, I was born ready.
All right, okay. Excellent. Love to hear it. Okay. So first tell me, positive or negative graph?
Positive graph. So it's
Good.
going to
What does
be
that
in the
mean?
first and third quadrant.
Excellent. Now continue. What else do I need to know?
And then we say x cannot be equals to 0 and y cannot be equals to 1.
Excellent stuff. X cannot be equal to 0. Y cannot be equal to 1. Excellent. All right. Then?
Yes, and then you draw it on the Cartesian plane. Right.
Excellent. And then?
The 1.
Good. And then we're going to draw it.
You're going to draw it. They shouldn't touch the asymptote.
Beautiful. Excellent. But now we need to still go calculate for the
x-intercept.
Beautiful. All right. Yes. Tell me.
And then x-intercept is y is equals to 0. So we're going to say 0 is equals to 3 over x plus 1.
Beautiful. Continue.
And we're going to transpose 1, and it's going to be -1. Then we're going to cross multiply.
Excellent. Cross multiply. Good. Then we're going to get?
And then we're going to get -x and 3.
Good. Next
and then we say x is equals to -3.
You are a whole legend, a whole rock star. I don't know how else to put it because we did that in record time. Just excellent. I love it. I love it. See, this is why I said you were born ready. You see what I meant? You see what I mean? Okay. Because it's just easy stuff. Beautiful stuff. Okay. Very well done, Namisile. So proud. Guys, you guys are my whole life. You guys know, Emilio, you're my whole life. Namisile, my whole life. You guys are just mwah, the cherry on top of my very hard day. Because I'm going to tell you guys, I wasn't having the best day. I was not having the best day. But now, you know what I mean? Yes. And gift, yes, because you give money. You give money. You guys are great. But now I have to challenge you. Because we can't just be sitting here thinking that we're not going to be challenged. All right. Now, what happens when I give you guys the graph? And then I need you guys to give me the equation. Let's talk about it. Jasmine, you too. Tiana's like, there she is. There's ma'am doing that thing that she does all the time. All right. So we're going to, Namisila's like, I knew it was too good to be true. No, guys, don't be like that. All right. So we're going to ignore a lot of the information we've been given here. And we're just going to focus on what we need. So we're not going to be looking at the straight line graph. We are only going to be focusing on our hyperbola in this question. Okay, so our hyperbola says m of x is equal to k over x plus q. Right, and trust me, it's the easiest thing you're going to see all day. Don't even stress. Now, we know a couple of things. We already know that we have asymptotes, right? And we have quadrants. Now, if you look at my graph, guys, look at my graph, my hyperbola. Which two quadrants has it been drawn in? Which two quadrants has it been drawn in? Good. Patu, on point. That's it, Namisile. Excellent, Siabonga. Well done, guys. Yes, Akahang, that's it. Quadrants 1 and 3. Which means that our graph is going to be what? Positive or negative? Positive or negative, guys? Good, it needs to be positive. That tells me that this value that we're going to get over here for k must be a positive value. That's what it's telling us. Now, what do we know about this number over here? Usually the number that goes by q. What do we know about that number over there? What do we usually do with this number? What is it? It's y what? Our y what? Our y? Not intercept, not intercept. Have a look at what we were doing before, guys. Have a look quickly. What did we say that this thing over here is? Not our y value. What is it called? That's it. Asavuya, you legend, you. It's the asymptote. Good. The q value that we see over there is our y asymptote. Now, look at our graph. Where is our y asymptote, guys? Look at it. Where is our y asymptote at? Which value? Good, it's at 1. So we automatically know that this q is then going to be 1. It's going to be 1, guys. So now our equation reads y, I'm just replacing m of x with y is equal to k over x plus 1. Right. And now they tell us here, guys, they tell us that our x-intercept over there is -3 and 0. So they already give us our x-intercept. Instead of us having to calculate it, they've given it to us. They've told us that this point over here is -3 and 0. But now we want to calculate for k. We're missing k. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this value for x and this value for y, and I'm going to substitute them into x and y, and I'm going to solve for k. This is what my formula is going to look like. 0 is equal to k over 3 plus 1. Can we solve for k? Any volunteers? Who can solve for k for me? And I know it's pretty easy because we just did it like 3 seconds ago. Patu's already done. I just mean, Patu's done. 100% just like blew out the water, 100%. Done. I know. You got the correct answer. I'm not even going to argue with you there. You are 100% on point. On point. Well done, guys. Well done. Beautiful stuff. I'm just going to show everybody else where we got there, how we got there. Pachi, do you want to tell us? What did you do?
Okay, sorry. I wanted to say x value 3.
Yeah.
Not
oh,
3.
-3. Sorry. -3. Sorry. But the answer also stands, does it not? Well, the answer, oh no. Yes. Oh, I'm lying. No, it's not. It's supposed to be -3. Okay. So we need to transpose, guys. Take the 1 over. We're going to get -1 is equal to k over -3. And then we're going to cross multiply, guys. Remember, our k value must be positive because our graph is drawn in the first and third quadrants. So cross multiply. And then we're going to get -1 times -3 will give me 3 is equal to k. Therefore, m of x is equal to 3 over x plus 1. Ta-da! Woo-hoo! Ah, beautiful stuff, guys. Beautiful stuff. All right. Are we okay? Give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down, or give me a number out of 10. How are we feeling about this particular sum? I know Gift is like, to those who wrote -3. Gift, don't be that guy. Do not be that person. Don't be like that. Okay. Oh, Alicia's like, half. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We're gonna do another one, and you guys are gonna find it so easy. Don't even stress. Okay. 10 plus. Oh, Samuel, I love to hear it. Love to hear it. All right, let's look at one more. Okay. Here's another one. All right, I'm just going to let you know, guys, that this point over here at the bottom over here is -1. Right, so now I'm saying f of x is equal to a over x plus q. Find me a, find me q, find me the equation of the graph, guys. Now, first, have a look. Which quadrants is our graph in? Gift, don't be like that. Okay, have a look, guys. Which quadrants is this in? It's in quadrants 2 and 4. So what do we know about A, guys? A needs to be what kind of number? A needs to be a positive or a negative number? It must be negative because my quadrants are 2 and 4, so negative. My A must be negative. What about my Q? What is my Q value, guys? What is my Q value? It's the y asymptote. Good, it's the y asymptote. What is my y asymptote, guys? My Q is my y asymptote. That's it, Lunabile. Excellent. Which is -1. Good. Now I've got f of x is equal to a over x minus 1. Good. I've now got this point over here. You can choose which one you want to use. Okay, I'm just going to rewrite this. -0,25 is the same as -4 and 1 over 4. Sorry, 1 over 4, like that. 1 over 4. Okay, so you can use that point or you can use the point 4 and do 9 over 4. -9 over 4. So you can choose which x and y value you're going to put in here and calculate for A for me. Remember, I'm just going to replace f of x with y. Okay, Zoluga, which part? Which part do I need to explain again? Okay, because we've already said quite a lot of things. So you need to tell me which thing. Ooh, Ivo, from the beginning of the sum. Okay, Namani says, please go back to the previous one. Okay, let's go back to the previous one. Okay. Remember, Zoluga, everything that we're looking at has something to do with what's happening on the screen. We know that when our graph is positive, it's in quadrants 1 and 3. So this value up top here must be positive. We know that our y-intercept is found at the end of our equation. Okay, so that must be that part over there. For those of you who want to try the sum, hands up. Let's go for it. Oh, Namisila's on fire today, guys. Yay. She's just doing the things. She's doing the things. Okay. Now, if we look at this one is in quadrants 2 and 4, which means our A value must be negative. And we know that our Q value is our Y asymptote. And in this case, our Y asymptote is -1. Then we choose a point. They've given us 2 points. You can choose whichever one you want. Sub the X value in, sub in the X value, sub in the Y value, calculate for A. All right. Phew, Tiana's already done. Excellent. All right. Are you ready, Namisile? Let's calculate for A. Right. Tell me what to write.
Okay.
What am I going to write down?
So what I did, I said f of x is equal to a over x plus q. And then I said q is equal to -1.
Beautiful.
And then I substituted x with -4. So
good. So you need to tell me what to write.
So it became 0 is equals to a over -4 minus 1.
Ooh, okay. Now there's the problem. We can't say 0 anymore. Okay, we can't say 0 anymore because at x,
0,
at the point
or
x is -4, you have to then use 0.25. All right, but if have a look here, Namisile, it's not completely lost. Hold on for me. Do you see that over here at my x-intercept? They've given us the point -5. What do we know about the x-intercept here? Y is equal to?
Negative. Y is equals to -5.
X-intercept. X-intercept. Y is equal to?
0.
0. So this point over here is actually -5 and 0. I actually hadn't noticed it before. So we can use this point. Can you sub in this point for me? Can we sub in the -5 and 0 and tell me? Okay, what are we going to get?
I can say 0 is equals to a over -5 minus 1.
Excellent.
And then you transpose 1 and you say a is equals to -5. And then you cross multiply and then a is equals to -5.
Beautiful. Cross multiply. So that would be -5 times 1. So -5 is equal to A. You're not done, Namisile. You need to give me my formula.
Oh, your formula. F of x is equals to -5 over x minus 1.
Ah, look at that. Mwah. Mwah, 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 mwah.
Oh, so ma'am, if it's given, because here it says on the quadrant 4, it says 4 and -2.25. We can say when we fill in y, we say -2.25.
That's it. We don't use 0 unless it cuts the x-axis. Then we use 0. Okay. Only where it cuts the x-axis do we use y is equal to 0. But over here, they've given us an x value and they've given us a y value. Those are the two x and y values that we need to use. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yes.
Ah, love it. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you got this correct. I want to see if you guys actually got this correct. Let me know. I love to see it. You guys are amazing. My whole night just turned all around, all the way around. Love, love, love it. Okay, but if you guys know anything about mem, oh, guys, I'm so sorry. Siyabonga, we cross multiplied. Okay, so we went -5 times 1, and then 1 times a. 1 times a is a, and -5 times 1 is -5. Okay. Okay, excellent. All right, let's begin a new chapter. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, Mnamani, I love that. As long as you're getting how to do it, that's great. All right, let's look at exponential functions. Now, exponential functions come with a lot, guys. They come with a lot. I'm sorry, Tiana, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm very sorry. But we're gonna have to do this, guys. This is the last graph we need to learn. Sorry, Gil. Sorry, guys. All right, so there are a couple of things that we need to know here, guys. Actually, I'm missing an A here. Should be an A here, A times. Okay, so there are a couple of things that we need to know. We need to know here that B cannot be equal to 0. B cannot be equal to 1. Okay, those are the things that we need to know. Okay, everything else, fair game. Okay, everything else, I think there's something about A. I think A cannot be equal to something else. There's another value for A that this thing can't be. All right, now, this is an exponential function, guys. So we're going to look at what happens when we have an exponential function. We can do the same thing again that we normally do. We can check our 3 numbers. X is equal to -1, X is equal to 0, and X is equal to 1. We're going to check these 3 numbers. Now, if my function reads, f of x is equal to 2 to the power of x. Let's leave it at 2 to the power of x. Right. If my x is equal to 1, guys, if x is equal to 1, what is my y value? What is y equal to? If x is equal to 1, y is equal to what? Good. It's equal to 2. It's 2 to the power of 1, so I'm going to get 2. I will. Good, I'm going to get 2. If my x is equal to 0, what will I get? Y will be equal to what? Yo, Patu, you're super, super duper fast. Good. Y will be equal to 1 because I will have 2 to the power of 0. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. Good. Now what happens if my x is equal to -1? It's not going to be 2 Mnamani. I'm going to get 2 to the power of -1, which is the same as 1/2. Good. Y is going to equal to 1/2. All right, let's plot this quickly. Now, I want us to note, right, that this value over here cannot be equal to 0. Okay. Which means that our y value cannot be equal to 0. Okay, so if b can't be 0, if b cannot be equal to 0, that means that y cannot be equal to 0. Does that make sense? Just give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. If not, say no, ma'am, explain again. Okay. Okay, Courtney's saying no, ma'am, it doesn't make sense. All right, so Courtney, if I have y is equal to 2 to the power of, or b to the power of 0, if I have b to the power of x, sorry, b to the power of x, the only time that this y value will equal 0 is if b is equal to 0. Are we in agreement that the only way y can equal 0 is if this b value is equal to 0? Does that make sense, guys? Yeah, making sense? So if my b value can't be 0, that automatically means that my y value can't be 0. Yes? Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if you understand what I mean. Good. 100%, guys. Awesome stuff. So what this then tells us is that this y value that cannot be equal to 0 is our asymptote. It's our asymptote. Okay. Now, for an exponential graph, our asymptote sits here on the x-axis. It sits on the x-axis. All right. Which means my graph, which is positive, will only be on this side. This is my positive graph. So if I had to plot these 3 points where x is equal to 1, y is equal to 2. So there's a point there. When x is equal to 0, y is equal to 1. There's my other point. Where x is equal to -1, my x is equal to a half. So the point over there, half. There's my point. Let's put this together. Yeah. Exponential graph. Yeah, that is what an exponential graph will look like. All right, lucky for us, an exponential graph also has an asymptote. It also has an asymptote. So we're going to look at this graph the way that we've drawn it now, and we're going to see it this way all the time. Okay, the only difference is if this a value over here is negative, if this a value is negative, then my graph will be down here. The only difference. But then our asymptote will also move it up and down. This will move it up and down. Q will move our asymptote up and down. So for an exponential graph, guys, we only have a y asymptote. Okay, I'm going to ask some pointed questions while we go. I'm going to give you guys a graph. Okay. All right. We're going to say here that f of x is equal to 1 times 2 plus, I'm just being pedantic. I'm picking random numbers. Okay. What this tells me is that my y asymptote is 3. Okay, so I can go to my graph over here and draw my y asymptote at 3. Okay, there's my y asymptote. And then I'm going to look at only one of these. I don't even need all 3. I can look at 2 of them. Let's look at 2 of them. We're going to look at if x is equal to 0, give me my y value, guys. If x is equal to 0, y is equal to what? What is y equal to if x is equal to 0? Ooh, not 3. Esona, be careful. I'm going to get 2 to the power of 0, which is 1. So this whole thing will be equal to 1 plus 3, which is equal to, in fact, I don't know why I've added this. I should remove this. Let's move this thing. Good. 1 plus 3 is equal to 4. Good. So when x is equal to 0, y is equal to 4. Okay. And what about if x is equal to 1? If x is equal to 1, what is y equal to, guys? Y is equal to? Liabona, don't forget to add 3. Good. It's equal to 5. So 2 to the power of 1 is 2 plus 3 is 5. So y is equal to 5. Then I'm just going to go and plot these 2 points. At x is equal to 0, y is equal to 4. There's 4 there. There's my first point. And at x is equal to 1, y is equal to 5. There's my next point there. And then I'm just going to curve my graph. Ta-da! Finished. All right, give me a thumbs up if we're looking at an exponential graph and we know what it's supposed to look like. Well done, Mr. Woods. Thumbs up. Are we okay? I'll come back in 5 minutes. I'll come to you. Good. Okay. Somebody said, ma'am, why? Please explain the 2x. Amber, it's not just 2x, my sweetie. It's 2 to the power of x. Okay. So it's 2 to the power of x. So if I said to you x is equal to 3, you would then look at 2 to the power of 3. Okay. We would look at 2 to the power of 3, which is equal to 8. 2 to the power of 3. Does that make sense, Amber?